There are tons of Football Manager challenges you can take on, and it's time to list all of the major ones. The Journeyman. The Journeyman is probably a save that's the closest to the real Football Manager career. You start unemployed with 0 coaching badges to your name, and your goal is to just play a career. The goals in it are arbitrary. You might decide to end the save at the age of 75, or by winning something, such as the Champions League, the World Cup, or the Premier League. Whatever is your choice. You're free to move around the clubs and up the footballing ladder. But remember to load in a bunch of lower level leagues to make sure you will actually get a chance anywhere. The Rebuild. The Rebuild is the most popular save type. You take charge of any club of your choice and set yourself a goal, whether that's winning the league, the Champions League, or making the club the best in the world. Whatever you choose, it's your club and your rules. The most popular choices are either your local or regional team, your favorite club, or a team that's in a crisis, which leads us to a variation of this save, the Fallen or Sleeping Giant. The difference here is that you take over a club that once was or has potential to be great, but for whatever reason, they're no longer at the top, or even have gone down the leagues. Examples include Girondin Bordeaux, Schalke, AC Parma, Budapest Honvéd in Hungary, or Aalborg in Denmark. I named a couple of teams from smaller nations, and speaking of which, let's talk about subscribing to this channel. You can do that, but I wanted to talk about Build a Nation. Build a Nation is a type of a save where you don't make a singular club great. You turn the entire nation into a new footballing powerhouse. Your goal is determined by either reaching the first place in the UEFA coefficient rankings, and if you're outside of Europe, you may take the league reputation or a World Cup win as a benchmark. One of the methods to achieve this goal is by creating something called a loan farm, where you sign a ton of players only to keep loaning them out to other teams in the league. You can do this challenge anywhere outside the top 7 European leagues, and the usual recommendation is to take charge of a team from the lowest available division in the country. If you want to have a foundation, you can start in a place such as Czechia, Switzerland, or Romania. If you want to go extreme, you can go to Iceland, Gibraltar, or even San Marino. The San Marino Challenge. Speaking of San Marino, you can also just win the Champions League with the club in the San Marinis League, or the World Cup with the national team. And I realized this sounded way easier than it really is. We're talking about the lowest ranked FIFA nation and the worst domestic league in Europe. The Youth Academy. In the Youth Academy, you can take charge of any club in the world, but there is one restriction to transfers. You're forced to only sign players who came through your annual youth intake, with 0 exceptions. This will force you to make use of your youth facilities and the staff in the youth teams. Best places to do the save in: MŠK Žilina in Slovakia, FC Nordsjælland in Denmark, Sporting Club de Portugal, or Southampton. There are more possibilities to restrict your transfers, just like city or a region or a nation only challenge. You can take charge of any club in the world, except you can only sign players who were born in the city, a region, or a nation where the club is located. And that includes your youth intake. Examples include playing as Fulham and only signing players from London, going to TSC Bačka Topola in Serbia and only playing with people born in the region of Vojvodina, or only signing Finnish players in Finland. There are also teams that have hard-coded restrictions, most popular being Athletic Club Bilbao, which only allows you to sign players from the Basque region, or Hong Kong Under-23s, which plays in the Hong Kong League and, you guessed it, only can sign people from Hong Kong who are below 23 years old. But what if you don't want to actively manage the transfers? Then you can do the Director of Football Challenge. Instead of managing the club like you usually would, you only take charge of the tactics, and you give any transfer or contract related activities to your Director of Football. You can also go the other way around, in the Reverse Director of Football Challenge. I didn't have any better name ideas. In which you let your assistant do everything, including setting up the tactic, except for the transfers and contracts. This is the only thing you take care of in this type of save. Vaduz Challenge. Many clubs dream of winning the UEFA Champions League, but for 99% of them, this dream is very hard, if not borderline impossible. But there is a team for which this challenge is on another level. FC Vaduz from Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is a tiny country between Switzerland and Austria. It's so small that it doesn't even have the football league. These 7 clubs from there take part in the Swiss league system. However, they are considered to be the guests, and they cannot qualify to Europe via the Swiss league. Even if you win the title, you will not play in the Champions League qualifiers. The only slot the clubs from Liechtenstein receive is for a winner of the small tournament, called the Liechtenstein Cup, dominated by Vaduz. Most of the teams play around the 5th or 6th tier in Switzerland, but Vaduz are in the 2nd, and are available to play in the base game. The goal is to win the Champions League, but this cup only lets a team from Liechtenstein start in the early qualifying rounds of the Conference League. The only way to win Europe's elite prize is to win the Conference League, then the Europa League, and then the Champions League in consecutive seasons. Fail at any of them, you have to start over in the Conference League. The Capital City Challenge. In the Capital City Challenge, your goal is to take charge of a club from a capital city that has never won the Champions League and win them the Champions League. Simple as that. There are only 6 capital cities that have a Champions League winner, so the choice is quite huge, and you can restrict yourself to go outside the top 7 leagues, who all have a Champions League winner. Bottom to the Premier League. Fairly simple, you take charge of a team from the Vanarama National League South or North and lead them to win the Premier League. You can even start from tier 8 or tier 20 if you want. Bottom at Christmas. Simulate the season to December 25th and take charge of the last team in the league by creating a new manager. First, try to keep them up, then you decide if that's it, or you want to win the league or win the Champions League itself. The Sir Alex Ferguson Challenge. This is the slight variation of the Bottom at Christmas challenge, except this time you take charge of the 19th team, specifically in the English Premier League, and match Sir Alex Ferguson's achievements he won with Manchester United within a time frame of 26 seasons. 0 to UCL in 10 seasons. This challenge only tells you to win the UEFA Champions League, and should be fairly simple, right? You have to start unemployed with the worst attribute set, and you only have 10 seasons to claim the trophy. The Glory Hunter. The Glory Hunter is another challenge with a deadline. To be exact, you have 20 seasons to win all of the top 5 leagues: Italy, Germany, Spain, England, and France or Portugal, their main domestic cups, as well as the Champions, Europa, and optionally the Conference League. You can pick any club you want, as long as it didn't win the league in the most recent season or is leading the standings right now. There's also quite a lot of variations. Let's name some of them. The Viking Conquest. The goal of the Viking Conquest challenge is to win the 5 Nordic leagues: Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland, as well as the UEFA Champions League. You can also add Faroe Islands with a mod. However, you only have 15 seasons and have to start unemployed with 0 coaching badges. 20 seasons, if you include the Faroes. Around the block. This one is with no time limit. Your task is to win the leagues of countries that formerly were under the socialist or Soviet regime. We're talking about Latvia, Poland, Slovakia, Czechia, Hungary, Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Slovenia, Croatia, and Germany, the eastern part, as well as the UEFA Champions League. You can also include countries such as Bosnia, Albania, or Estonia with the mods. The Ultimate Glory Hunter Challenge. This is the type of save I'm doing right now. Playlist in the top right. Basically, you don't just want to win a selection of leagues. You want to win a league in every single European country, or even the world, as long as you're alive by the time you finish it. The Pentagon Challenge. The Pentagon Challenge does not focus on just winning the UEFA Champions League. Its goal is to win 5 different Champions Leagues in a single save. The CAF Champions League in Africa, the AFC Champions League in Asia, Copa Libertadores in South America, CONCACAF Champions Cup in North America, and the UEFA Champions League. But to make it more challenging, you have to start unemployed and with 0 coaching badges. A usual recommendation is to start in Africa or Asia, as the clubs from there don't require that high coaching qualifications. This is the database I would personally use if I dived into this challenge, with mods included. And the Pentagon Challenge's extension is the Hexagon Challenge. If you download the mods for the leagues within the Oceanian Football Federation, such as New Zealand or Tahiti, you can also win the OFC Champions League, which could make you a winner of all 6 continental Champions Leagues that exist in the world of football. You can also count the FIFA Club World Cup into the challenge if you wish, but if you want to play with the national teams instead, it's time to take on the International Hexagon Challenge. Your aim is to win the 5 national team continental competitions and the World Cup in a single save. You can start with any license and playing experience you want, but there is a small restriction. You have to start with San Marino, the lowest ranked FIFA nation. I decided not to include the silly challenges, such as forcing yourself to only play with the strikers, but I think I named all of the more important ones. In case you think I missed something, name a missing challenge in the comments below.